have been playing hell with the Americans. So if Pakistan wants to do this,
Amit,
and I'm very glad,
Amit,
ultimately I have a responsible Pakistani diplomat like Zafar Hilali admitting that yes, we are going to aid the Taliban to kill the Americans.
okay.
Fine, it's a matter between them and the Americans.
Amit,
And
Yes.
let's see how it plays out.
Amit, you know the Pakistan will have to change track somewhere, Amit.
I have a different point of view, slightly different point of view. I think that Al-Qaeda is the enemy of Pakistan. Al-Qaeda have declared a war against Pakistan, and Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan have also declared a war against Pakistan. So we cannot distinguish between Al-Qaeda and Taliban. Both TTP, Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan, and Al-Qaeda, they have the same views about Pakistan. If we say that the American drones are violating the sovereignty of Pakistan, we must accept that these Taliban and Al-Qaeda people, when they hide in Pakistan, when they use the Pakistani territory to conduct operations in Afghanistan and also conduct operations in Pakistan, they are also violating the sovereignty of Pakistan. So if somebody in Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan is violating the sovereignty of Pakistan, I am not ready to talk to him. He is my enemy and I have to fight against him. So the opinion about Taliban in Pakistan is divided, and now let's move forward, and we need a regional consensus on this issue. If India and Pakistan will fight against each other, if Pakistan and America will fight against each other, there will be no consensus against Taliban
So
and
one would
Al-Qaeda.
like to build this consensus.
Ultimately, Taliban and Al-Qaeda will be the beneficiaries because they are united and we are not united.
No, the one would like to build this consensus, but today's revelations are so shocking, you know, far, maybe
I'd
a
like
thousand
to-
times more
I'd like
shocking.
to comment
that- I just want to go once to...
I'd just like to,
Yes, Mr. Doval, go on.
yes, you know, Mr. Hilali's comment actually is extremely unfortunate. What he is telling is that Pakistan has used covert action and the irregular people who have been using covert violence against established institutions, and they are not going to give it up. It's not a question of Taliban or Al-Qaeda. Our biggest complaint against Pakistan has been that it has used terrorism as an instrument of state policy, covert action as an instrument of state policy. When you say that Taliban, that means in this case probably the Haqqani's group or Gulbuddin Hikmatyar's group or so many assorted groups with which the Pakistan intelligence is in touch with, who are indulging in violent action against the civilians and against the regular forces. And also the TTP, the mention that Mr. Hamid B made, and I must say, a very profound statement that he made. That is who are bleeding the people of Pakistan. If Pakistani state is continuing to remain their patron, work in tandem with them, in unison with them, I think it's a very unfortunate state, and it has got very serious implications, not only for the region, but also the world at large. Okay. And I think the world will have to take cognizance of that.
Okay, now I would like to...
it is another thing.
To put,
that is, you are
to put this in
working with
perspective,
an
I just want to go across to Mr. A.K. Verma, who's a former RAW chief. He's with us in our studios in Delhi. Mr. Verma, you are a veteran intelligence man. You must have seen the whole circumstances in which Osama bin Laden has ostensibly been caught. Tell me, sir, what do you think is the real story? What do you make of the real story from the little tidbits you're getting here and there? What really happened?
We have to take into account the certain basic principles how intelligence operations are conducted. The most basic principle is the need to know. If there is no need to share your intelligence with anybody else, you just don't share it. You carry out the operation yourself. Now here, in this case, it's very difficult for me as an intelligence professional to accept that Americans who have been suspicious of Pakistani intentions for so long on so many different issues would share this information with the Pakistani establishment before taking action themselves. If they did that, I have no doubt in my mind that bin Laden would have disappeared from that place. And this was exactly the fear that the Americans had. And this is exactly the reason why they did not, in my opinion, share this information with the establishment.
You mean they lack the trust? So this is what Hamid Mir is saying today.
So this debate which is going on, whether they shared it or not, if one looks at it from a professional angle, there is no need for this debate. It need not have arisen at all, because as experts themselves, they will not share this information with an adversary. Pakistan is an adversary in this matter for Americans, who will exploit this information and let the query escape somewhere else.
No, Mr. Verma, Hamid Mir presented an argument that, the Americans acted on the basis. Mr. Verma, Hamid Mir presented an argument that the Americans worked on the basis of local Pakistani intelligence.
I would not buy that argument at all. What the Americans did was, they used sources of their own, whom they created themselves, whom they paid themselves, and who were locals. And in return for the information they received, these locals were paid. This doesn't amount to saying that the establishment had been taken into confidence, or that there was cooperation available from the local establishment. There are more than 3,000 American operators active in Pakistan. Their existence is not known fully to the Pakistani establishment, and there has been a big demand that they should be withdrawn. If they were all operating with the consent and knowledge of the Pakistanis, why should this demand arise at all?
Hamid Mir, that argument is coming to you tonight from former RAW Chief A.K. Verma.
So I never said that the Americans informed Pakistanis about this particular operation. I told you that in May 2010 and August 2010, Pakistanis shared some information with the Americans about the possible presence of Osama bin Laden in the area between Texla and Abbottabad. And after that, the Pakistani sources are saying that after that they never shared any information, and the Americans never asked any further information. And on the basis of that information, the Americans were able to find out that compound in the Ilyasi Masjid area, which is not next to the Pakistan Military Academy. And I also told you that in 2004, the ISI conducted an operation for the arrest of Abu Faraj al-Libi, who is the son-in-law of Osama bin Laden. So that area was already under observation.
But Hamid, look at the reactions coming from America. Hamid, I'm sorry. See, again, you will tell me, Hamid, that you are giving the view from Washington. I'm not. I've just got another flash which I can share with you. Now this flash is from the Senate Homeland Security Committee Chairman Lieberman.
Yes.
And look at what Lieberman is saying. Lieberman is saying today.
I agree with him. I agree with him. I know the statement, and I agree with him that now the Pakistani government and the Pakistani security establishment must answer some very important questions.
Yes.
And I, as a Pakistani citizen, I also want these answers. I also want the answers of these questions.
No, so in other words,
I also want answers of these questions.
So in other words, Pakistan
is my right to know. As a Pakistani, I want to know that what's going on in my country.
No. In other words, it's difficult to believe your argument that the Pakistanis gave the first lead. You see, Hamid, you're saying the Pakistanis told them about a phone conversation on the basis of which
Pakistani gave the first lead, and in May 2010, August 2010, but after that the Americans never trusted Pakistan. This is also reality. They never trusted Pakistan after that, and they never informed Pakistanis about that particular operation.
A.K. Verma, how do you read what's going on here? Mr. Verma, let me come back to you, Mr. Verma. How do you read what's going on here? There is a trust deficit.
I'd like to draw your attention how the drone operations are carried out by the Americans in Pakistan. That is exactly how this particular operation is carried out. The drone operation is carried out by collecting information through human sources who are locals and who are paid heavily, and they provide information online almost, and as soon as this information is received, it is relayed straight to CENTCOM or in Washington or to the ships in quick time, and immediately the drones are given the coordinates and they take off. So there is a combination of so many operators acting on the American side but none on the Pakistani side except those human sources who cannot be called collaborators of the Pakistani establishment. So this is how this particular operation has also taken place. The ground level human agents identified the campus where he was staying, that was cross-checked, and a program built up to destroy it. It took time because they had to bring Navy SEALs and helicopters. It was not a question of unmanned drone going. So it took time. But I don't think there was any Pakistani collaboration in it.
Okay,
they
now
would
we have
not
different-
be trusted.
Yeah.
They would not be brought into cooperation
we
at any
have-
stage for an operation of this kind.
Well, I think I'll only wrap up by saying this. I think we've seen a number of arguments tonight. A question for all of India is that how does one deal with the situation? Is cricket diplomacy the answer? Or do we need a hard, honest chat with the Pakistani establishment? What role will America play in that? Should they play a role at all?